Good evening, Dr. Torsunov. Thank you so much for coming to visit us. We've been waiting for you very much. I have a question. You talked about the stages of developing relationships with a husband, that at the beginning he needs to be motivated. Is it okay to have children if my husband is not yet very motivated?
You need to have children right now. You still have a year and a half of a good period.
And will he become motivated later?
You shouldn't think about that now. You should think about the possibility that you might not be able to have children at all. If you don't have a child now, in a year and a half to 2 years, it will be extremely difficult for you to have one.
Hello, Dr. Torsunov. I recently married a wonderful man, the man of my dreams. But,
because we live in a world where but is inevitable. Everyone has selfishness. Therefore, but is inevitable.
The thing is, maybe I used to turn a blind eye to all this. Now his actions and behavior hurt me very much.
So first comes the honeymoon, and then the fairy tale ends.
The thing is, now I'm living with the thought of divorce. But the love is very strong. And I really want children. I'm confused.
And what's so special about that? Everyone lives like you do. Only some couples don't have such strong love, but everything else is the same. Got married, thought he was a man, but he turned out to be a devil.
I want to understand where the line is. When a woman should wisely keep quiet and when she should say stop.
When a man becomes insolent, you need to say stop. And when he's simply making a mistake, you should keep quiet. But you see, saying stop doesn't mean yelling at him. It's better to regulate the relationship by, I got up and left. I didn't argue or shout, I just got up and left because my eyes hurt. You need to know how to step away from the relationship. It means just take a pause, and this has a good effect on a man. He sobers up. You must understand that a man doesn't understand who a woman is, no matter how hard you try. I told you about this yesterday. He just doesn't understand. And you're surprised? Why can't he understand? Because you can't understand him either. Do you understand him or not?
I'm doing everything for this.
And he's doing everything for this too. You don't understand him and he doesn't understand you. That's just how everyone lives. All men don't understand women and women don't understand men. Because we are very selfish by nature in relationships. When you see a man, you see your own pleasure in him, but you don't see the person. For example, he might be a very delicate person by nature. You take advantage of this and try to get a lot of attention from him. And although he's delicate, he gets specifically tired from this. But you don't understand this and you act capricious. You understand? Silence in response.
I understand everything.
You don't understand anything, nothing, just like everyone else. For us, a close person is a blank slate. It means we don't understand anything because we want to enjoy them. When a person wants to enjoy a loved one, they don't understand anything. They only understand their own desires, and that's all. They don't understand them as a person. I repeat once again, when a man satisfies a woman, does something for her, it's an asceticism practice for him. And when a woman wants to do something for a man, it's a terrible asceticism practice for her. To love each other, we need a lot of strength. This strength comes from God. Right now, you're not looking at God at all, and your strength is fading. You don't understand how life is built in this world. That's why you want to run away from him. And if you leave him, you'll be alone for a long time. And God won't give you another one like him. God has plenty of men, but he doesn't want them to be suppressed.
Thank you.
Just try to understand that we don't know how to live with each other, and this is the main problem. It's not that just one person doesn't know how. All people want to enjoy each other. Therefore, they don't see each other. They don't see. People don't see each other. People don't love each other. This is 100% fact, and that's why everyone suffers. You see, God has already given you a person who is highly compatible with you. You have the same interests, the same temperaments, and everything else. Well, what could be better? And still it's bad. Why? Because the more we want to enjoy a person, the less we see the person in them. You can only see a person when you start to accept them as an individual. When you endure him, accept him as a person, as a human being, then you'll start to understand him. Only after acceptance you will be able to understand him. Right now you don't understand him. You only understand your desires in him. He used to satisfy all your desires because the battery was fully charged. And now he satisfies your desires like this, because this much of the battery has discharged. And it's exactly the same for you. The same amount has been discharged. You're also satisfying his desires like this now. Why? Because you don't have the strength anymore. You think, I'm tired of jumping around for him. And that's how life goes for everyone. Until a person turns their attention to God, until they learn to be filled from nature, from people, from God, while they are tied to their own enjoyment, they are constantly depleting themselves. And this always leads to disappointment and destruction of the family, always for everyone, no matter how good the person is.
And what if alcohol is already involved?
Alcohol is already a sign of mental fatigue in a man, because when a woman gets tired, she starts to get depressed. It means you're falling into depression now. Or you try to escape from the relationship, to go somewhere, to immerse yourself in some other relationships, for example with your mother or with friends. A woman has switches in a relationship because a woman's ability to build relationships is 6 times stronger than a man's. It means a woman can switch if she feels that she's being drained in a relationship. She can switch to someone else, to close ones, even to a dog, especially to children, if she has children. So, a woman switches and therefore doesn't need alcohol. But a man can't switch because he's not woven from love like a woman is. The energy of love gives the ability to build relationships, and a man depends on a woman in relationships. If a woman doesn't give him relationships, he gradually becomes overstrained. He experiences emotional overload. And men's emotions can be relieved either by some emotional films or alcohol, or another woman, or God. But to relieve emotions through God, one needs to be a developed person. But he's not a developed person, just like you. An undeveloped woman can't find a developed man. Everything is very harmoniously arranged in this world because when a person develops, they look at another person differently, and the other person responds too. That is, people always find each other according to their level of development. There is never a dissonance. You just need to continue living, developing. Your goal is God. Try to learn to fill yourself. You lead a sedentary lifestyle. Because of this, you're already starting to have stagnation in your body, processes associated with diseases. You don't have a deep, proper contact with people. A very selfish attitude towards a loved one is the main mistake of a woman. She wants to get happiness from a man. This is the biggest mistake in a relationship. You should get happiness from friends, from children, from parents, and just give it to the man, as much as you can, and then he will be grateful and will slowly start to give back. But now you're offended by him, and he's offended by you. Why? Because you've become attached to each other and are trying to take happiness from each other. You're focused only on each other, not on your friends, not on your relatives, not on anyone. And it's the same for him. He only has a job that he loves. That's also where he gets some happiness. A wrong life.
What if we have a baby?
It will be a bit easier for you. Because he has work and you have a child, there's already some outlet. But a child still won't replace God. If a woman starts believing in a child instead of God, it will have consequences for the child later. The child starts to suffer and then gives it all back to the mother in the form of stubbornness, tantrums, pride, and so on. Only God can save a person. Neither a woman's child nor a man's favorite job can save them. It's just temporary relief. Of course, a man needs a job he loves because it's some kind of outlet. And a woman definitely needs a child. It's also an outlet. But no one can replace God because only God fills a person completely. For health, nothing can replace nature. You need movement in fresh air to be healthy. A person who moves little is always sick. To be socially strong in relationships and personal life, you need to love people, do everything for them, try your best. I haven't been here before, but still about 50 people joined the Good People Club. Svetlana is such an amazing person. She organized these lectures and kept inviting me here. She's a single mother with 3 children, but she organizes everything here and there. And God has now arranged her life in such a way that she doesn't even need to work. He arranged it so that money would pour on her by itself. Can you imagine? She was surviving as best she could, now she doesn't even need to work. This can happen in a person's life. There are all kinds of situations in life. This is how she lives now because God gave her such a gift. Those who help people, care for everyone, their lives begin to change. Their eyes shine with joy. Why? Because it's the right way of life. If our society and the country now lived right, everyone would take care of each other, help each other. By the way, this was popular in the early stages of socialism. In the 50s and 60s, there were movements to care for the elderly. There were activists, Komsomol members. I remember when I was a kid in the 8th or 9th grade, we were volunteer patrol members. We walked around, helped everyone, maintained order, and cared for everyone. I remember that such a life existed before. That's how we lived. Then they decided that material prosperity was the main thing, and everyone immersed themselves in making money. And the devastation began immediately. Families are falling apart. Now it has reached the point of madness, because people have become lonely, all because of excessive immersion in money. How long have you been listening to my lectures?
It's my first time. This is the very first lecture.
You have everything ahead of you. Listen to the lectures, study, and in 6 months your life will start to change. Begin working on yourself. While still not understanding what you're doing, just study. You're just starting the process. A person can't understand everything in one lecture. All lectures are freely available on the internet, So download, listen, and study. Don't touch your husband for now. He will join in on his own over time.
Good evening. I have a question. What if a person is very close to your heart, but not close in spirit?
Is this your wife or an acquaintance?
Girlfriend?
Then maybe you shouldn't get together. Have you been communicating, dating for a long time?
Yes, for a long time.
So she is not a girlfriend anymore. Do you live together?
No.
Think about it. You need to set some conditions for living together if you feel that she might start to develop. Or maybe she's categorically against it. You see, how does a person's development happen? If people are already living together and they are not close in spirit, this will all change over time. You need to count on this, and that's how it happens. But if people are trying to create a family and they have different views and aspirations, it all depends on the person's level of development. Sometimes people of different faiths live super well with each other. I know such people. They have different faiths, and everything is just super for them. They have an excellent relationship. You need to be such a developed person to love all people, people of different spiritual traditions, while deepening and immersing yourself in your own faith, not someone else's. And at the same time, love and respect everyone. This is how people should live. Now is such a time. Everything is mixed. Previously, there were huge cultures. The entire Turkey had one faith, the whole Russia, another. It means entire monocultures. Now life is completely different. Now everything is mixed. Now even in Turkey, not only Muslims live, and everything will mix very quickly. So people should learn to love another faith and respect people of different spiritual traditions. It's impossible to live in hostility. We have to live in love.
Can I insist on stopping communication with other young men, or would that be too harsh?
This is the main condition in relationships. There are lecturers who say that a woman should communicate with several men at once. This is complete nonsense. Let's say several people like her. She picked one of them, got to know him better and didn't like him. Then she can communicate with the next one. But if she's dating several young men at once, she's behaving like a prostitute. Even if she's not sleeping with them, it's betrayal. If she's dating one person and behaving sincerely, he believes that she will be his woman. And if he finds out that she's dating others, his faith will be gone. For example, if I were dating a woman and found out that she was dating someone else, I would never, ever approach her again. Why would I need that at all? So this should be an immediate condition in the relationship, an uncompromising condition. You need to respect yourself. If she's still trying to date someone else, fine.
It could be friendly communication.
There's no such thing as friendship between a man and a woman.
Thank you very much.
If there's a man and a woman and they're friends, it's not friendship, it's called subtle sex. There's also physical intimacy. Any intimacy is intimacy. If a man and a woman communicate tenderly as friends, this should never be allowed. For instance, it happens that a husband has a friend and they simply communicate together with the wife. They are friends together. It means there is some friendly relationship, but again under the control of the wife. There's still a line somewhere that can't be crossed. Now people are so involved in these friendships that when they meet, they start hugging. A man hugs someone else's wife. A woman hugs someone else's husband because they're friends. They just hugged, but people don't know that they're playing with fire. If a person caught fire, is it dangerous or not? All clothes are on fire. Is it dangerous? If, let's say, there is a strong compatibility between a man and a woman, they hug and a nuclear reaction occurs. If there's strong compatibility, he will never forget this embrace, he will think about it. Then gradually this thought will connect him with this woman. First subtle energy relationships will begin, then sympathy will start. This will all develop into infidelity within 6 months, and the reason is wrong culture and improper understanding of things. You can't even touch another man's wife, let alone hug her, because it can cause a nuclear explosion. Like opposite charges, the masculine and feminine energies can connect very strongly with each other. There was one case with a woman that I know. She leads a spiritual life and believes in God, as does her husband. She had a baby and found it difficult to cope on her own. The baby required a lot of time, so she asked her female friend to help her. She started just to cook for her and her husband, and that's it. After a while, the husband left for this friend, and he never came back. She was left alone with the child for many years. What's the mistake? She didn't understand how masculine and feminine energy work. It's very dangerous. If she had invited an older woman, it would have been better. Even better is to invite her mother or her husband's relatives. But inviting a young, unmarried female friend to cook is dangerous. Especially if she smiles at her husband, it's very dangerous. Did you hear that?
Thank you.
Another question.
Good evening, Dr. Torsunov. I have a very complicated relationship with the father of my child. We are not married. I have a very difficult relationship with him. He helps with the child, and we communicate about parenting issues.
Does he pressure you? Is he harsh with you?
Yes. I'm constantly crying. He doesn't calm down until he makes me cry.
Is it because he has a wife?
He's single now. He had a wife before.
This is happening like when boys pull girls' pigtails at school, you know? He's pulling your pigtails in the same way. So you see, he lacks this feminine energy. And this man wants to conquer a woman. He wants to be stronger, to prove his superiority. This is his male nature at work. A man can't do anything about it. He wants to prove that a woman should obey him. Well, you essentially have a marital relationship like this. You understand? You don't live together, but he has this feeling towards you. Probably you have a close relationship with him, right?
No, not anymore. Our child has problems. He has autism.
Autism means strong internal tension. It can be relieved by warm water, having animals nearby if the child engages in prolonged, continuous movement, and stand next to thick trees. These help with autism. Can you remember what I said? Bathe in warm water every evening daily, stand near trees, or just be near a thick tree for an hour and a half, about 3 times a week. It's desirable to move a lot for long periods. Well, some kind of prolonged, continuous movement, whatever is possible. This relaxes everything and relieves tension. He will start to develop.
We go to the swimming pool.
Yes, water also relieves tension. Be stricter with him, with your husband. A woman is psychologically stronger. She just doesn't know it. You need to be really firm with him once, and everything will be fine. You've spoiled him. You yourself allow him too much. Is it easier for you to live like this? When he does whatever he wants, you don't pay attention and he starts.
No, I'm emotional and he's a very difficult person. All the women he's been with.
I know. Strong character, unyielding.
He was referred to psychiatric care.
Stay away from him.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to ask a question?
Thank you very much. You greatly changed my life 4 years ago. Now I'm in a situation where I'm married, I'm happy, I have a wonderful child. But we have...
Human desires are endless. A person will never finish working on themselves, right?
Yes. Actually, everything is fine. We're thinking about a second child now. But my husband, he's kind of there and kind of not. He earns well, but he's not at home as often as I'd like. He says he dreams of being at home more, spending more time with the family, but he's always going somewhere. All the time.
Well, he's very active by nature. Yes, he's an active person.
The question is, if I have a second child, should I expect him to be at home at all or not? Who should I rely on?
Rely on yourself, on your friends. If you have a second child, according to his fate, he will be strongly attached to this child. You're attached to the first one, and the second will be his. So he will be drawn to this child more. But still, he's a man. He can't sit by the child for long. It's not realistic.
It's just that we have his mom in the family who is also very attached.
Mom will also be very attached to the second child. She is not attached to the first one.
Thank you. You've answered all my questions now. Thank you.
There's a question from the back, a woman.
Hello, Dr. Torsunov. I'll tell you just one thing. Thank you for appearing in our lives. For 4 years now, my husband and I have been listening to all your lectures. You're already like a member of our family. Everything is fine with me. I'm married. My husband is wonderful. Everything is great, but my relatives have already declared us to be in a sect.
That's normal.
By the way, in your sect.
I don't have any sect.
Yes, we understand that.
I'm interfaith. I'll be even happier if you stay in your own faith and don't change anything. Because when a person changes, there are such moments that a long interfaith adaptation follows. Relatives are in shock. This causes so many problems. And if a person starts to develop in their own faith, everyone will still be shocked, but not as much. Because people are always afraid when a person goes to God.
I have only one question. I have a very complicated relationship with my sister. She doesn't understand me at all, and I don't understand her either.
She is a very sincerely religious person.
Well, probably not.
Well, yes, she just doesn't know it yet. But her psyche is very firm in terms of beliefs.
Yes.
She is a very convinced person, and she will become a sincerely religious person, but not in your faith.
You mean not in Orthodox Christianity?
Maybe in Orthodox Christianity.
So, I'll better leave her alone, and she will come to this faith on her own.
You can't influence her. She's the one who will influence you.
Yes, a lot.
Her conviction is stronger than yours.
The two of us can't even manage.
You will manage, but she will come to God in her own time. In her past life, she offended religious people and lost her relationship with God. Now, when she sees that someone has this relationship, it starts to drive her crazy.
Are we doing everything right?
You're doing right, and she's doing right too. She will come to faith over time. When she realizes that she can't change you, she will start to change herself.
The second question about the second child.
You need to conceive the second child faster. Time is running out.
Is it still possible?
It's still possible.
Thank you.
Human desires are endless. It's impossible to stop them. Therefore, a person needs to continue living. Living and constant development brings happiness. 4 years is quite enough for many people who have been listening to lectures for a long time, working on themselves to gain this happiness, but still they can't stop or they want something more. A person is infinite in their desires. Your question.
Dr. Torsunov, I was at the festival, and I had such a dream that you would come to our city. But of course, I was very doubtful because our city is small. Thank you very much for coming.
More people came to the lecture in your city than in Nizhny Novgorod with its 2 million population, twice as many.
Thank you very much. I listened to your lectures. I started listening to them before the festival when I came to visit my mother. And I listen every day and fall asleep with you.
Come to our festival. Your life will completely change. It can change a person's life completely. They start to look at things differently. Because for 2 weeks they are immersed in this mix of enthusiastic people who are working on themselves. 1,000 people come there from all over the world.
Yes. You get up at 5 a.m. and run to get a place, then another place.
Do you remember the festival?
Yes, I'm retired. But I was the first to run and get places. And now I fall asleep with you. And my daughter tells me, Mom, it's not good to sleep with married men.
I'm not a married man. I'm a mentor.
It's a joke.
I don't look at you as a woman.
No, of course not.
I don't agree with such jokes.
Okay, I apologize. I have a question. I have a question about my daughter. My daughter is 27 years old. I don't know how to say it right, so she wanted to go to India. She has been living in India for 5 years. She has many beginnings but no primary results. I'm worried.
Don't worry. This period is already ending. This is a period when she runs around looking for something. She will get married soon. At most, a year is left. Just the very maximum.
Will she get married here?
There.
There?
Yes, is your daughter here?
Yes.
According to her fate, she will get married there. She's happy about it, but Mom isn't.
I'm in shock, of course. What should I do? It's good that I asked.
According to her fate, she won't live here. She will get married there. That's her destiny.
I'm about to cry now.
She will come to visit you. She loves you.
Dr. Torsunov, in 2009, my grandnephew came to visit me, put a disc on the table, and said, Auntie, listen to this. This guy speaks great. And I listened. Then I became a constant visitor of Dr. Torsunov's website in the university and was shocked, realizing the extent of my ignorance about the world in which I had lived until then. I was completely shocked that my whole life had gone like this. Well, thank God, at least 7 years later, Dr. Torsunov, I got a bit of a picture in my head of who I am, where I am, why I am, how I am. Thank you very much. Now I'm also trying to help other people who want to rewrite the pattern of their life, and my country is called Lotus Land, a space for happy people. As a token of gratitude, I know that Dr. Torsunov conducts various seminars, culinary meetings, and so on. Dr. Torsunov here, I'm giving you this apron. It says, I wish happiness to everyone.